Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're talking all about minerals and how your pursuit for wellness, your pursuit for health could actually be depleting and sabotaging your mineral levels. Yes, I know. Frustrating. You're trying to help one thing, but potentially making something worse, causing more imbalances. But that is the issue, especially when you're trying to DIY your health or you're working with someone who is unaware of the impact of minerals and how foundational they are, regardless of what you're struggling with, whether it's your gut, your hormones, your mental health, your skin. Minerals need to be considered, and it's a bit of an art, it's a bit of a science in how to do that properly. It's not just a matter of getting a mineral test and seeing this is high, this is low. It needs to be interpreted properly by someone who knows what they're doing, because otherwise you can run into more issues. I went through this myself, trying to just create my own protocols whilst I was studying, and even before, when I was working with a practitioner myself at the start of my health journey. On the side, I was also doing my own research and just adding random things in, and really regret that because it actually just complicated the whole thing, and I was wondering why I was feeling worse. And my symptoms at the time were acne, hair loss. I had a ton of histamine and sensitivities to a load of different foods, weight gain, PCOS, the list goes on. But some of the things that I'm going to talk about today, some of the mistakes that I was doing, or I could have just done them in a different way. They're not all bad things, and they're really common, and they can be amazing tools if they're right for you. But if you're not addressing minerals at least simultaneously or coming back to minerals at some point or another, it could just be a roadblock to your healing, like it was for me. Just healing in general can use up a lot of minerals and nutrients. With my one-to-one clients, everyone who joins my 6-month package, Hormone Reset, they get access to a HCMA because it's a test that everyone can benefit from. Whereas a hormone test or a stool test might not be relevant for someone. So everyone gets a HTMA. It can be done all across the world, which is another beneficial thing. And the second session, that's when we go through the results, and there's always something that comes back. I've never seen a perfect mineral test. Not that we're going for perfection, but there's always something to work on. And rather than guessing what's going on, I like to test and see definitively, because I could have some idea as to what's going on with fatigue. There might be something called a calcium shell present. It is common, but it could actually be something very different. It could be a very low calcium level as opposed to a calcium that's high, or a processing issue there. But on the second session, we go through mineral results. And before we then maybe go on to a gut healing plan or detox or balancing hormones, we have to build them up a little bit, because doing a parasite cleanse or doing a heavy metal detox can be pretty full on for the body. And if this is the first time you've done something like that, or you do have quite a lot of imbalances in the body, you have to build up the body slightly. So it can be the case where we work on minerals for a little bit, and that might take a few months. We address some initial imbalances, and then we do some deeper work towards the end of the 6-month package. Let's say on the gut, they have SIBO, they have yeast overgrowth, they have mycotoxins and mold present in their body. So we're working on detoxing. They're feeling better. Maybe we do a retest down the line, 6 to 12 months after the first, and the minerals actually look the same or worse sometimes. And I do try to give my clients a heads up that this might happen. Something similar can happen with heavy metals, where on the first test, they look clear, doesn't look like there's any metals present at all, which is very uncommon with the state of the world that we live in. We're picking them up everywhere these days. They really are unavoidable. But on the retest, actually, when the minerals are looking better, the body's detoxing better, the body feels safer, more nourished, and it's able to release some of these metals. On the second test, 6 to 12 months later, the metals are through the roof. And it's not that they've just become exposed to them in the past 6 months, it's that they were there the whole time. They were just locked away inside the body. The body was so depleted, it didn't feel strong enough to actually release the metals and let them go. So on that second test, we're actually seeing the true result. Something similar can happen with the minerals where there's initial imbalances. We work on them a little bit, but then we have to do the deeper work that's needed for long-term remission of symptoms, long-term balanced hormones, long-term healthy gut. But when you are asking your body to kill off these pathogens and get rid of 10 years worth of toxic metals, toxic pollutants, then that requires a lot of energy and a lot of nutrients and minerals to clear them. So it can be that we then revisit the minerals again, and it's not this one and done thing that you balance your minerals once and then you're good for the rest of your life. In the healing journey, at least until you're feeling significantly better, it is a test to consider doing 1 to 2 times a year. And I'm going to share my favorite resource and tool that's available for the next couple of weeks. And it's on sale towards the end of this episode because this is a way that you'll be able to get access to a HTMA, my favorite functional lab test your own minerals, and then you have this lifetime access to a resource so you can check in on your minerals and your family's minerals as well. And just make sure everything is good because yeah, there's just things like stress, things like depleted food and soil. Even if you're eating an amazing diet, we're all at risk of mineral imbalances these days because the nutrients found in fruit and veg now and even animal products, it's just not the same as it used to be. And the types of stress that we're under, it's not just mental and emotional stress, it's chemical stressors, physical stressors. So mineral balancing is an ongoing thing. So yeah, it is a process, and sometimes the minerals do look better, and we can see progress on the second test, but it's not actually a bad sign. It's just showing that your body has had a lot to fix, and that requires a lot of energy and therefore a lot of nutrients because minerals are cofactors for all of these processes to happen. So in order to fuel your liver, if you've ever seen, or you can just pull up on Google now, the image of the phases of liver detox, phase 1 and phase 2 that are happening in the liver and the nutrients needed. So maybe just type nutrients for liver detox and then you'll see there's tons. Like the first phase, it's things like antioxidants, it's things like vitamin C, and then phase 2, it's a lot of amino acids and minerals as well. And yeah, we have to revisit it, and then that second time we can really boost up the minerals again, and maybe that's when they really start to see a shift. So it's a bit of a process, and that's why working with someone who is skilled in this is recommended because you might just think, oh, I balanced my minerals last year, so that should be it now. But unfortunately, that is not the case. The other factors that can affect your minerals, if you're unsure whether this is relevant to you or not, it can be linked to any symptom, but definitely if there's these stubborn symptoms that just don't make sense because you're eating healthy, you're the healthiest person that you know in your friend group, but you're still struggling with your energy, your mental health, your immune system, your hormones, your gut, minerals are probably involved in that. And another thing is medication. If you're currently taking, even sporadically, or you have taken in the past, we even just get exposed from traces in tap water if you're not filtering your water. But think birth control pills, even if you stopped taking that 5 years ago, the damage, so to speak, that was done during that time and how much it really depletes your body is likely still present if you've never actively gone in there to restore the imbalances. If you're popping painkillers every month for headaches, hormonal headaches, period pains, things like antihistamines, stomach acid blockers, if you've been on medications, all of these antidepressants can affect your mineral levels too. Then with stress is something else that is unavoidable. Doing the daily routines, the nervous system work, the mindset shifts that I talk about all the time is important. But then the environmental stresses that we're under, the modern lifestyle, the fact that we are just indoors all the time, disconnected, exposed to 5G and Wi-Fi 24/7, even if you're stressing about your health, this is what this whole episode is about. You are trying to heal and you're making the positive decision to look into holistic things, and you've found this world of naturopathic functional medicine, which is amazing. But if you're trying to do everything on your own and you're coming home from work, maybe you've got kids as well, and then you're spending hours researching, trying to find answers for yourself, you're doing a positive thing in being proactive, but it could also be sabotaging you a little bit and actually becoming more of a stressor. If you're stressing about trying to do everything perfectly, or you need to do these 10 steps every single day, the dry brushing, the lymphatic massage, you need every single meal to be as perfect and clean as possible, that could, for some people, be fine, but for some people, it could just be mentally overwhelming. And there are many cases with clients that I actually help them to take things off their plate and reduce the to-do list because it's just becoming too much and it's just tipping them the other way. I do have a whole episode about stress and living in fear. It's episode 208 of the podcast. If this resonates with you, if you feel like you're living in fear all the time, how's my health going to decline moving forward? I'm always going to be like this. I am afraid of toxins. I'm afraid of XYZ. You need to listen to that episode. There is no point spending all of your money on healing protocols and supplements if you're not addressing the stress and the mindset. That's why I incorporate both into my work, my one-to-one program. It's such a powerful combination. And stress is something that burns through minerals like rapidly. And I don't want you to be working on your mineral levels, taking these really good quality supplements and eating mineral rich foods, but you haven't fixed these underlying causes. So address the ones that you can, control the controllable, and the rest of them, yeah, you just have to do the best that you can. But as I said, mineral imbalances could be linked to literally any condition, symptom, diagnosis out there, from autoimmunity to fatigue, hair loss to osteoporosis. Minerals are the foundation for everything to work properly. So in this episode now, I'm going to share 4 of the healthy habits that could be depleting minerals in some people and actually might not be a good fit, or you might need to work on minerals alongside to prevent you from depleting them even further. So number 1 is excessive sweating through exercise, regular exercise, even infrared sauna. This is a surefire way to deplete your body and burn through your minerals if you're already deficient in these electrolytes, specifically sodium and potassium, or if you are just overdoing it, you're abusing them, and yeah, it becomes a vicious cycle because you deplete the minerals and then you feel more tired and then you feel like you're not detoxing well. So then you go in the infrared sauna and you spend an hour in there and then you're working out to intensity every single day. And it's not that sweating is bad, it is a way that we detox and it's really healthy to move your body. And maybe infrared sauna is beneficial for you. But what I'm saying is maybe limiting that, maybe pulling back slightly and actually listening to how your body's responding to you doing that. Are you feeling like you're having a massive crash afterwards and you actually are pushing through when your body's telling you to get out the sauna or slow down in your workouts, or at least consider doing a HTMA test and seeing what's going on with your electrolytes? And you might need to supplement, and not all supplements are created equal. There's some really, really crappy electrolyte supplements on the market these days. There's only a few that I would actually recommend because they've got therapeutic levels of sodium and potassium in there. If you want the brand details and everything and where to get them, these are practitioner level products. It's inside my mineral balancing course, I'm Balanced. Link is in the bio. Second one, enemas and colonics. They are basically triggering diarrhea, and if you're doing them too frequently from an already depleted state, they could be doing more harm than good, and you could be flushing out your minerals. They can be life-changing. They were for me, really beneficial for clients, but what I'll do is I'll check their electrolytes first and maybe even spend a few months or weeks building them up first before we start doing enemas. Make sure they can handle it, even starting with water enemas for a while, and at the same time doing a high quality electrolyte powder as well. Or if they're okay with their electrolytes, sometimes people are. It's quite rare for them to be in good levels these days, but maybe that's not an issue for them and they can get away with doing a weekly enema. There's some cases where 2 to 3 times a week can be useful for a short period of time, but usually once a week is a really good amount. I just want to check, are you addressing the healing foundations? Not sure what I mean. Well, these are the important factors that I believe that you need to address in order to be in optimal health and overcome your stubborn health issues and symptoms, whether that's chronic digestive issues, acne, hair loss, period problems, weight gain, anxiety, fatigue. I could go on. Because I want as many of you as possible to have this life-changing information, I've bundled together 6 of my juiciest and info-packed masterclasses priced at just £111. Not only are you getting these recordings, which are between 60 and 90 minutes long each, on the following subjects: the power of the subconscious mind, stress, trauma, and the nervous system, supporting your female menstrual cycle, mastering your metabolism, optimizing sleep, gut health and detox. You're also going to receive my healthy groceries shopping list and my favorite non-toxic products guide, which are both usually reserved for my one-to-one clients. Whether you're brand new to the holistic healing world or you've been trying to work on things for a while but feel stuck, I can guarantee there's something within this content that will help you to understand your next steps and what you're missing. Sometimes it's something so foundational that's being overlooked. Get instant access to the Foundations bundle today for just £111 by clicking the link in the episode show notes, and I can't wait to hear about what you've learned. Grab your pen and paper to make notes and get started today. Number 3 is taking synthetic supplements. You could be taking supplements to fix your hormones, heal your gut. However, if you're taking certain nutrients in isolation for long periods of time, this can throw off other minerals and other nutrients, causing imbalances. So, for example, zinc is something that people just take without knowing what they're doing, and zinc is a mineral, and it should be kept in check with all minerals, but specifically copper. If you have a copper dysregulation and you start taking zinc on its own in higher doses too, it could actually cause you to, it's called copper dump. You can release a lot of copper into the body and worsen symptoms like estrogen dominance, heavy periods, acne, and you might even be taking the zinc for your acne. And you might be zinc deficient, but you have to do some prep work before that. You have to maybe build up the dose. You have to have other cofactor nutrients at the same time. So I get where you're coming from. I understand your thinking and your motive behind that, but it's not as easy as, oh, I'm zinc deficient just based on my symptoms. You might be, but it doesn't just mean that you take a supplement for that and try and get the highest strength possible. This also happened over the past few years during COVID, people just taking megadose vitamin D and zinc for their immune system, and love that you're trying to support your immune system naturally. Those two nutrients do really help. There's a big difference between those nutrients from food or natural sources like the sun and vitamin D versus getting them from synthetic supplements, individual supplements too, or even multivitamins that are just not correctly balanced for what your body needs. And vitamin D can, when it's coming from a supplement, push calcium higher. It can push that calcium shell higher and make some people more inflamed, more sluggish. It can mimic a lot of thyroid issues and just slow the body down, can contribute to more pain in the system. Calcium supplements, calcium is just added to everything these days, almond milks and yogurts and protein powders, hair, skin and nail, bone health formulas that people just take randomly because they think they need them if they're getting older, or they have a risk factor of osteoporosis in the family. Doesn't necessarily mean that you just need calcium. There's a lot more that goes into bone health than that one mineral, but you supplementing with calcium, you might not need it. It could be something else going on, and you might already have this calcium processing issue. A calcium shell, really common, and it's just not the right solution for you. Iron can potentially cause excess inflammation in the system. It can feed pathogens, it can feed bacteria and parasites in the system, causing more inflammation. Yes, you might have a low iron on a blood test, but you might have high intracellular iron, so it's just going to the wrong places, and you could just be causing a lot of stress to the system from doing that. And as soon as you stop taking it, the blood levels drop anyway because you've not fixed the root cause. So that's my beef with supplements, not knowing what you're doing. They can be pretty powerful. You wouldn't just randomly start taking medication without knowing what you're doing. So why are you doing the same thing with supplements? Be mindful of that. And then even with quality of these products, there's herbal formulas out there and if you're buying supplements on Amazon, be really careful. There's a lot of counterfeit, fake products out there, and some of them are not even what they're saying on the label. It might have the exact brand label on there, but what's inside is very different. And they can be contaminated with heavy metals, so sourcing is really important. There's only a limited number of websites, and a few of them are practitioner only, so you have to be working with me to get access to them because they don't just allow anyone and everyone to order, because there's a lot of really powerful pharmaceutical level, pharmaceutical grade products on there, and you need to be monitored and supported by a practitioner. And then another big one is being on a restrictive diet, trying to heal one thing, whether it's your skin, your IBS, your autoimmune disease, your leaky gut, but you're cutting out more and more and more foods. And the more foods you cut out, the more nutrients you are limiting. If you are going low carb because you're insulin resistant and maybe you do feel like you have more energy, more mental clarity, you lose 5 pounds doing that. In the short term, it can be helpful, but that then becomes a vicious cycle. A lot of carbohydrate rich foods, the healthy forms like potato and squash, they are high in potassium. And potassium helps with insulin sensitivity. So if you cut that food group out or restrict it massively, you're then restricting your potassium intake. And no wonder you then find it hard to reintroduce carbohydrates, because you've made your body even more insulin resistant because you've severely depleted your potassium. I hope that makes sense. Or even with dairy, this happened to me. I was reacting to dairy because I was eating the poor quality kinds and just the strawberry Muller yogurts, and I was breaking out from that. And I had a lot of leaky gut and infections in my gut that was driving my reaction to not just dairy, but a million other foods. So I just cut out dairy completely and didn't have it pretty much at all for about 10 years. And I ended up running into a quite significant calcium deficiency. And because I was so sensitive, I also couldn't tolerate a lot of non-dairy calcium-rich foods like sesame and tahini, leafy greens, oily fish with the bones in. I just couldn't tolerate many things. So then, because my calcium was low, that can affect my nervous system and my mast cells and my histamine regulation. So then I was just becoming more dysregulated. My nervous system was more stressed, and I was reacting to more foods. So I cut out dairy, but then it ended up being that I cut out nuts, and then I cut out grains, and then I cut out nightshades, then I cut out salicylates. And it was just a very slippery slope. And then another one that I see commonly is low oxalate, just another food compound like histamine that isn't inherently bad. But if you are reacting, it can be linked to having kidney stones or joint pain in some people. But there's a lot of healthy foods within that category. And if you're reacting to oxalates, the underlying cause can be a deficiency of nutrients, a deficiency of vitamin B6 sometimes, a deficiency of calcium. Calcium helps to bind to oxalate in the gut and help it to leave the body. So if there's not enough calcium, oxalates then accumulate in the system, and it can lead to oxalate crystals and stones from forming. So why not, let's just get to the mineral balancing. Let's just boost up your nutrients so that you can actually break down the oxalate properly. The other thing with oxalates is a fungal connection, history of mold potentially, history of candida and fungal overgrowth. And low histamine for me was another game changer. It really made a difference to my symptoms. It gave me a lot of relief with inflammation in the body, but then I was restricting more nutrients, more minerals. I was becoming more nutrient deficient. My mast cells and my immune system then didn't have things like zinc and selenium and calcium to have a proper immune function. And it just really affected my ability to heal. So it's a time and a place for food elimination, but it's usually not enough on its own. So I see you out there, you're trying to do all the things, and I am really glad that you found this world. But just being aware of minerals can be really important, and it could be the next step for you in your healing journey to finally get the results that you are looking for and the results that you deserve as well, probably because you've been on this journey for a long time now. So at the moment, I've mentioned in this episode my mineral balancing course, I'm Balanced, that's had over 100 people inside over the years now. It's been running for a good few years. This is the last chance, April 2025, to get access to this as the general public. After that, as of the 1st of May, it's going to be open to practitioners only because I'm doing more practitioner mentoring now, and I'm just changing up my offer suite at the moment. You'll still get lifetime access to it, but it's just not going to be available to purchase after this month. So just over a week or two left, depending on when you're listening to this episode, but as of the 30th of April, after that, it's no longer available. And inside that program, you get access to a complimentary HTMA, my favorite lab test, to see what's going on with your minerals. So it's a hair sample and it can be done from anywhere in the world. As soon as you sign up to the program, you could start doing the hair sample. The instructions on how to do it are within the content, the course material, and you can start binge watching the videos. There's over 8 hours of video education. Some of it you can start watching just to learn about how minerals affect the body and a little bit more about how minerals affect your hormones. There's a lecture on minerals affecting the gut and the nervous system, a lot of different things. And then once you get your results back, which will come to me after about 3 to 4 weeks, I'll send them across, and then you can really dive into the trainings on how to understand your report. So it goes through each mineral. You can find out if yours is too high, too low, what could be causing that, and then what you need to do in order to balance things naturally through your diet, your lifestyle, and with the use of these high-level, high-grade supplements that I've used successfully with my clients over the years. So you have 6 months to use the test. Let's say you've just done a mineral test. You're like, oh, I've literally just done one. There's no point retesting right away. You've actually got 6 months maximum from when you sign up to the program to use the sample. So that might be beneficial for some people. And at the moment, it's currently £50 off. I have made the code automatically applied to the checkout page, but if you just want to double check, it should be £397 now instead of £447 with the £50 off. If you want to use the code April 50, then if it didn't apply automatically, that is the code to use. It is totally suitable for the general public. There are many practitioners and students inside the program too to help them learn how to balance minerals for their own practice, but it's not too high level if you are brand new to this and you're not a practitioner. And it's actually an amazing way without the need and without the support from a practitioner. There's no one-to-one guidance from me, but over the years, I've added more content to answer your questions. There's several Q&A videos in there from previous rounds, so I'm sure your question will be answered within the content. So it's a tool for you to do it yourself in your own time. If you require additional tests in the future, because you can add your family to it, you can get your husband and your kids and your parents doing a mineral test, and you can help them with the results if you feel like you want to do that, or if they want help with that. And even for you in future, if you want to do this test 1 to 2 times a year until you're feeling good, that is what's recommended. Then additional tests at the moment are just £99. So you can just let me know when you're ready for another one and we can get that sorted for you. The general report that tends to come with ordering a mineral test online on your own is just not accurate. I had a practitioner inside my mentoring program. She was totally freaking out, saying, do I have to do this diet and buy all of these random supplements? And I was like, no, please don't listen to the general advice because it's not personalized to you and it's also not that great, to be honest. So have my expert guidance now from the past few years of really going deep with this stuff, and I don't want you to miss out on this special offer. So just for £397, you get a lifetime resource, a test, and a lot of education to support you, whatever you're struggling with. And as always, if you are wanting to do the test, but you would rather have someone help you to figure all of this out and me interpret the results for you and tell you what to do and create your plan, then for all of my one-to-one clients, they do get access to this HTMA within the 6-month package, my hormone reset package, and then we have 6 months to work together on a much deeper level. If you want to do things like gut healing work, working on your nervous system, your mindset, your subconscious, you need to do detox work, metabolic health, and the mineral balancing, then my one-to-one 6-month package, Hormone Reset, could be a better option for you. I will link both of these in the show notes. Payment plans are available for the one-to-one, and I offer a 30-minute enrollment call for that. If you have more questions that you just want to cover before going ahead, that is absolutely fine. And yeah, I have availability over the next few weeks if you're interested in having a chat. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you are more aware of the impact that minerals have on your entire body and how your pursuit for health could be impacting them. Hopefully not, but let's double check. Let's do a mineral test and see what is going on, and therefore you can move forward with your journey. Thanks for listening, and I will see you back here next week for another episode.